Welcome Pisces to your monthly horoscope for January. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol on the desktop version of YouTube. This year begins in the most stunning way, with the moon combining with your co-ruler of Neptune in your sign. This is going to give you an extra level of perception right through 2020, which can guide you in the most awesome of ways. This combination is at times going to make you much more conscious of who you don't want to be around, because your sensory energies are going to be heightened so much. But if you're someone who wants to work on improving how you link with people, perhaps even in a non-spoken way, and how you just pick up the energy of others in a very compassionate way, this is a gorgeous conjunction. But also Mars, the planet of thrust and excitement and drive, is in a very adventurous part of your scope as this year begins, pushing you to think about how you can widen your horizons. And Venus, the planet of love and affection, is in a very sheltered location, suggesting that sentimental thoughts about someone from your past are entirely possible this month. There could even be some kind of reconnection with someone, or perhaps it's just going to be a reunion with people you used to work with, used to go to school or college with, and it can be something which is very uplifting indeed. But also, the part of your situation that's to do with your future, to do with your highest hopes, your idealism, is ablaze with energy. And most of this comes because of the stellium of planets in the sign of Capricorn, but principally from Jupiter. Jupiter is your other co-ruler along with Neptune, and Jupiter has now travelled into Capricorn, and through to the 19th of December gives you a fantastic chance to connect with new people, to set longer term hopes and aspirations that really work for the person you've become, not the person you used to be. So there is a sense of travel, there is a sense of excitement and renewal. Also, Jupiter is combining brilliantly with Mercury, the planet of communication. So you could find in the early parts of this month that it's really quite sociable, and you may find that emails or text messages are coming in, or you may be venturing out to meet people, and sometimes in very surprising ways. Uranus, the planet of surprises, is actually linking beautifully to both Mercury and Jupiter. So you could find yourself being particularly drawn to those people who share your values, who have a cause that you can commit to too. Perhaps it's to do with the environment, perhaps to do with a shared interest or hobby. But there'll be something quite meaningful about your connection to people, and there can be a real slice of innovation about how things go. So the people you're drawn towards may be a bit unusual, or maybe free thinkers in the way that you like to see yourself. Now also, as this year begins, there is the location of the Sun, which is pretty close to Jupiter, and that's saying that over the next year perhaps there are going to be new people entering your circle and your orbit, and maybe if your friendship area has come under a bit of pressure over the last couple of years as Saturn has made its way through the sign of Capricorn, there may be some relief this year, or some new additions, a new way of looking at things. You may need to be philosophical about some of the people who no longer play quite such a close role in your situation. And it's all about seeing the best in people, but perhaps in some ways new people. Now by the 2nd, Mars is going to be relocating into a very ambitious and assertive part of your scope. Don't be surprised if by mid-February you're casting your net, raising your profile, and being much more goal orientated in terms of your basic drives. But by the 7th, the conjunction between Jupiter and the South Node is very, very karmic. whatever you've done in the past for others, particularly if it has been a lot of good deeds, your kindness, and Pisces people can be incredibly sacrificing. Your kindness really could come back to you in some way that you're not expecting, which can be enormously heartwarming. Now, we do have an annular lunar eclipse on the 10th in the most playful, sociable, demonstrative and affectionate part of your scope. So what does this mean? Because laying in wait across the heavens are the big duo of Saturn and Pluto, which from the 6th to the 13th of January are right side by side. Well, it does mean that perhaps you do have to be very selective about your time management. And that old maxim of we can't please all of the people all of the time really does come into my thoughts in trying to express what this eclipse is going to be about. Over the next 6 months, this transition towards the people who really get who you are now, who get that warmth, get that sincerity, but also get the things that frustrate you, the lack of sensitivity, the lack of compassion with some situations. Those are the people who are going to become much more serious friends. But it could mean that you're reaching a crunch point in your involvement with some other people. Or it could even be a group or some kind of belief system that you've had, quite frankly. But by the 12th, we have the big stellium of the Sun, of Mercury, of Ceres, the asteroid of nurture, Saturn and Pluto, all lined up in Capricorn. This is going to be a critical point for everybody, not just you. And it could be argued that Jupiter is in detriment in the sign of Capricorn, which it is technically. I still feel it can bring a lot of goodness to your situation this year. It's levitating the more serious energies that Saturn has imposed upon you over the last couple of years. And of course, Saturn is going to be moving into Aquarius twice this year as it prepares to go into Aquarius for a longer duration on the 14th of December 2020, where it will be for 2 full years. But for you, I feel that Jupiter does provide some support. Jupiter and Ceres is a lovely conjunction. It's very much about learning. Perhaps you're going to relearn your outlook, your principles, perhaps some of your views and attitudes to life had become more negative, or past difficult experiences had left their imprints upon you. And this is an opportunity to rinse these things out of your system. Pluto's about elimination. Saturn is about structure. So there are some new structures that can come, but resisting it probably is going to be futile. If you feel that change is coming, be as philosophical as possible. But there's a gorgeous moment for you personally on the 14th, because then Venus moves into your sign. And that's going to be the start of a real sense of greater attractiveness. If you do hit the sales, you'll likely want to give yourself some kind of glamorous makeover. There's also a beautiful link between Jupiter and Pluto from the 13th through to the 24th. And Jupiter and Mars, I beg your pardon, from the 13th through to the 24th. And this is going to give you both the ability to network with people, but also be more assertive, to tell people what you want. If you are looking to improve your career prospects, it is going to be by being very clear about your principles, but also how you can get along with people, but at the same time take on extra responsibilities. Mercury moves on the 17th into Aquarius, the Sun on the 21st, followed by a new moon on the 24th. Mars does go into a square with Neptune in the last week. So if you are pitching for a new job, doing a proposal or a presentation in your role, or you're starting a new business, it's absolutely vital that you come across crystally clear to whoever your audience is. I think the best way to achieve that is making sure that your facts are really established, and you don't get too caught up in the more mystical side of your nature. You keep it real. But that collection of energy in Aquarius, as this month comes to a close, the second half of January, does suggest that you may find yourself really cocooning yourself away, enjoying quiet and peaceful times, even if the early part of the month is surprisingly sociable. And if you are just ruminating on everything that you want from this year and who's going to be central to that journey, I think sincerity is a massive keyword for you. Don't be bending yourself. Remember, Moon's conjunction with Neptune at the start of the year means that your instinctive kindness and sensitivity can be such an aspect, but don't be bending that to such a point that you're not getting your needs fed, you're not being nourished by the energy of other people. And if you do have to make some tougher decisions about who you want to spend your time with and focus just on the folks who really get you, then do it. Because I do feel as this month comes to a close, it's a very good time for you to recharge and rejuvenate at so many different levels. If you can, treat yourself to a lovely therapeutic treatment, something very healing. Spend time by water. If you do have a vacation and you can immerse yourself in water a lot, have spas and saunas, that would be the perfect thing to do in the second half of January. But all of this is preparing for the time when the sun bursts into your sign in February and you start to take centre stage. If you'd like to know what 2020 will hold for you based on your individual birth data, please see the link beneath this video. You can order your 12-month personal horoscope and get 30% off. But for now, it's been a real pleasure being with you. Good luck and goodbye.